The Green Bay Packers just quietly made a huge move. Let's talk about it. My name is Aaron with my buddies. We are the NFC North Guys on the daily NFC North news. Don't miss out. All you got to do is subscribe, hit the notification bell, and Packers fans, hey, hit the like button. Help us out. So today what we got to jump into, first and foremost, all the moves that have been going on with the Green Bay Packers, and one that I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about, we got to jump into, and the implications of that. And then as well, just one crazy NFL story we need to dive into because it's getting bonkers. So let's jump right into it. First and foremost, all the moves that have been going on. I think a lot of Packers fans, as you've been looking around on message boards, on Twitter, whatever it might be, are kind of just, it's like the picture of the kid with the stick, kind of like poking the rock or whatever it is. And it's like, do something, do something, do something. And I think they've made some good re-signing moves, especially to the offensive line. I think a lot of people may be a little upset that Malik Willis, still not with the Packers and he's going to the Dolphins. But again, are they going to want to pay that much money for a backup quarterback? Romeo Doubs, you could debate that as well. We're going to get into that in a minute. But I think one move that the Packers have made that is going to be big and going to pay dividends is bringing in for 1 year $2.5 million. I believe that is the correct signing, is Skyy Moore. Now you might be saying to yourself, okay, why in the world is Skyy Moore a big time pickup? Well, it needs to be understood from the fact that the Packers return game last year was abysmal. Now I'm a Michigan State fan. Jayden Reed, I watched him return a punt against Nebraska his senior year. It was beautiful. He is a great return man. And I would love to, I'm not a Packers fan, I'm going to be honest with you, but would love to see him returning more. But having another weapon that's consistent like Skyy Moore coming out, and especially after seeing what he was able to do in San Francisco, the numbers he was able to put up compared to the Packers punt return game, it's night and day. But with Reed out a lot of this past season, most of this past season, not coming back until really the end, that left Romeo Doubs, who is gone, and then Matthew Golden, which Matthew Golden, for either of them, it wasn't ideal, didn't really work out. As you look at the stats in the return game, Romeo Doubs had 15 returns, averaging just 6.3 yards. Matthew Golden, he was averaging 4.7, and then Jayden Reed actually had the biggest return of all of them, but only had 2, which is kind of crazy. I digress. Now we jump into Skyy Moore. Skyy Moore, return-wise, as we look at not only even on kick return, where kick return, he had some big-time returns, probably should have had a couple touchdowns. Same with punt returns, but very explosive, very fast. And I think the 49ers, where the Chiefs were kind of like, we're not necessarily finding getting the best out of him. I think the 49ers really did well in doing that in the return game for Skyy Moore. And so him not returning to the 49ers, the Packers saying we really need a return guy, finding that in Skyy Moore. But you look at his stats alone significantly better just by himself than the Packers combined punt return game. And then you look the same when we look at the return game when it comes to kick return. And I think both aspects are going to be huge, and it's going to be nice for the Green Bay Packers. But as I said, I think this is of all the big moves that have happened in the NFL, this is an incredibly just subtle. I think it's not. You might be saying to yourself, Aaron, this is not a huge move. But in all reality is. A lot of people forget about special teams. It's during free agency, during the draft. What are the picks you want to see? You want to see specialty players. Those are the big names. Those are the people that people are going to talk about, the edge rushers, whatever it might be. But Skyy Moore is not a bad pickup. It is a good move, especially in a division that has some great returners. And we look at Khalif Raymond, who just signed with the Bears from the Lions. That's a huge loss from the Lions. I'm a Lions fan. So again, I'm being not a Packers fan at all, but just trying to be non-biased in this. And Skyy Moore, I watched him play at Western as well. I know that was long ago. But as I said, big pickup. Get him on a good contract. Great. Now, a lot of people might say, well, he's not going to replace Romeo Doubs in the receiving game. Yeah, that's fine. You don't need him to. You don't need him to. And as we go up to the scoring stats from this past year, yes, Romeo Doubs, a lot of people say, well, we just lost our number one wide receiver. No, you didn't. You have Reed left. You have Golden left. You have Wicks left. You have Watson left. Like, there's plenty of players left. And also, the amount of players that were injured last year that led to Romeo Doubs being essentially stepping into that role at times, just because he was there basically the whole year besides one game. So it's going to be all right. I think from the outside looking in, for people, for someone who doesn't truly understand the Packers, they see Romeo Doubs leaving, they're like, well, that's not going to be good for them. No, they're going to be all right at wide receiver. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Is Skyy Moore stepping into that role as Romeo Doubs? No, he's not. I'm not saying he is in the receiving aspect of this team. But as I said, in the return game, it's going to pay dividends, and it is a great move. So what are your thoughts? Comment below on that. And then last but not least, what we really need to jump into is this whole Maxx Crosby situation. It is absolutely bonkers. So based on reports, he obviously gets traded from the Raiders to the Ravens for 2 first-round picks. The Raiders and Kubiak thinking, okay, we just got 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby. On top of that, we opened up a ton of cap space. So they literally went on a shopping spree. One of those guys that they got was Jalen Nailor, 3 years, $38 million as a wide receiver from the Vikings. So that's a NFC North news that he's leaving. Also, fun fact, you're like, this guy only talks about Michigan State guys. Michigan State guy. But they think to themselves, oh, look, we just opened up a ton of cap space. And then they got slapped in the face and they said, actually, we got a receipt and we're looking to return this guy. So Maxx Crosby going back to the Raiders, which is funny. I saw a tweet that said, the Raiders just made the biggest move and got one of the best players in this cycle, and that is Maxx Crosby. And obviously it was supposed to be a joke, which it was, and I laughed. And so what's going to happen now? Well, the Cowboys don't plan on looking into him. A lot of people say, well, you know, what else is that going to look like? I mean, Rashawn Gary, I think they're going to stay with that trade, obviously. I don't think they're going to back out of it. And so Maxx Crosby, he will be a Raider this next year unless the Raiders decide like, okay, well, we're going to end up taking less for him, which a lot of people on Maxx Crosby's side saying, listen, he's ahead of schedule. He's going to be stronger coming out of it, this, that, and the other. So it's going to be interesting to stick with this storyline. So comment below. Tell me what you think about Maxx Crosby. What are your thoughts of Skyy Moore? Would love to hear it. We'll talk later. Peace.